Good evening, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Gary Gray, Director of Athletics at Stroudsburg University. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this evening's webinar entitled Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in College Athletics, a Call to Action. Tonight's program is the fifth in a 12-part series that ESU Athletics will host between March 2021 and February 2022, with one speaker or set of speakers per month addressing the same topic, same title, each in their own unique and personal way. We know we need to continue to make progress on diversity, equity, and inclusion in college athletics, and we look forward to hearing and discussing the ideas shared by each of our presenters in the series. I also want to remind you that each speaker's presentation is archived on our ESU Athletics website, so you can go back and watch anytime you wish or even share previous programs with friends. Stroudsburg University is a diverse university where diversity, equity, and inclusion are sincerely valued. However, we all recognize much more can be done, not only locally, but also within our state, within our country, and even globally to improve our society and in many ways. We know we can do better. To cause change, action must occur. To cause action, discussions must occur. Ideas must be shared and commitments to change must be made. It is with this idea in mind that we've created this speaker series. During this evening's presentation, you are invited to send in questions or comments by way of the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Those will go directly to Mr. Noah Strone, Coordinator of Athletics Operations at ESU, who you see on your screen. When our speakers have concluded their remarks, Noah will serve as our moderator by sharing these questions and thoughts or comments that you have with our speakers for their comments or responses or follow-up. Your questions will be anonymous, so feel free to ask as you will. It's now my pleasure to introduce tonight's speakers. The first time we've had more than a single speaker, so we have two speakers tonight sharing the stage. Kelsey Melfy and Tricia Melfy. Kelsey is from Minot, North Dakota, and graduated from Minot State University with a degree in education, has taught health and physical education, and is also currently coordinator of summer camps and conferences here at Stroudsburg University. Tricia is originally from New Jersey and earned a bachelor's degree in exercise science from Arizona State University, where she also became a two-time All-America track and field heptathlete. She earned her master's degree in educational leadership from Northern Arizona University and is currently our ESU head women's volleyball coach. Welcome, Kelsey and Tricia. Take it away.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I thought maybe he had to unmute us, but we're going to go ahead and share our screen with you. I'm Tricia, in case you're wondering which of us is Tricia, which is Kelsey. I am Tricia, and our goal for this, we'll pop this up here, get our presentation up here. This is obviously a scary topic for a lot of people, including us. We're both, this is not something that we've talked about, but we've also, in our journey, had the opportunity to hopefully give others some courage to be true to who they are, give them the strength to talk about that with people that they love and that they need support from, and just sort of lift the burden off of their own shoulders, trying to hide from the reality of who they really are. And I think that once that reality is lifted, that those pressures are lifted, it's just a much freer existence, a much more comfortable one. So our goal in doing this tonight is to just let you know that the walk that we've had, the journey that we've had, the challenges that we've had, and then also the freedom that we've now felt by being willing to share our story. So we put some definitions together. I'm sure you've all looked up diversity before, and you can read on the screen the practice. Well, I think our thing's in the way there, but you can probably read this on the screen. But both Kelsey and I have experienced, in a sense, a discrimination based on being gay. And it says sexual orientation there. Everyone has their own view of whether they like that term or not. I personally am not a fan of having labels, but if my sexual orientation is gay, there's been several things that have happened in my journey that I've not had opportunities for, or that I've been declined for because of the fact that I'm a gay woman. So we put that up there as part of our experience. Equity, another piece of this speaker series. Another scenario where throughout my life, throughout Kelsey's life, there has been unfair and treatment that's not been impartial, as far as the fact that we are gay females. Things have been a little different for us in several categories, expectations or opportunities or closed doors. So we've experienced some lack of equity there. And then the inclusion piece that you can read here. Again, not trying to tell you definitions, but these are some of the definitions that touch home to us. And we've been in a culture and an environment that has not recognized or appreciated or effectively utilized our talents, skills, or perspectives, because they immediately shut it down because we're gay. So these things kind of hit home for us.
We just kind of wanted to talk too a little bit about history. I think it's important to note that we wouldn't be sitting where we are today without all the progress that has been made. We would not be able to sit here and talk openly about a same-sex marriage. So just kind of going back, and you can see in 1952 that it was once labeled like basically a personality disorder by being in a same-sex relationship. So just the progress of where we've gone, obviously Stonewall riots being a very important event that occurred that kind of kickstarted the rights for a same-sex marriage, and just the whole progress through that, and kind of seeing that it's been 70 years of progress from, I shouldn't say just from 1952, prior to that, but just knowing everybody else's journey, and we just different people that have walked this walk, and their journeys are all so different, and have had some major hurdles and some major discrimination. So there are people that still probably wouldn't be able to sit here and talk because of how discriminated they've been, or the way in which they've been treated, that they don't feel like they have a safe space yet. But for us to be in a same-sex marriage and also have been able to get married, we know that kind of journey that had to happen prior so that we fortunately were able to get married.
Okay, then this is where we're gonna talk a little bit about our journeys, and they are very different. My journey and Kelsey's different, being very different. And we put up this slide here, and this has been my journey. You know, it's, we'll get to another one here in a bit, but most people shut down as soon as you say gay. So they think Tricia Melfy, gay, and that's all they think about. But I'm much deeper than that, and my journey is much bigger than that. So I learned a long time ago in education that lying about my past, trying to shield people from my past because they say mean things to me or think I'm weird or I'm different, that wasn't very ideal to lie about it. So there was a time in my teaching career that I decided that sharing some of my story would be important, because there were young men and women that I'm teaching, mentoring, coaching, leading, if you will, that have a story as well. And I didn't want them to feel afraid to be true to their story, and feel that I might be someone that could be empathetic and understanding of what they were going through, so that they didn't harbor those feelings and just kind of brew over time, and the mental health becoming just so deteriorated when you're just not willing to, to tell your story. So anyway, here's my story, and it's different. I started, like I said, born in New Jersey, and I lived till about 8 or 9 years old, and that's when my dad left. And so my dad left and didn't turn around. Like he was not part of my life from 8 years old on. And then I was with my mom only for a few years. And in that few years, I endured tremendous physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. And that abuse was damaging. I mean, obviously. And along that journey, it creates this, 12-year-old kid that is scared, is unsure of where to turn, where to go, where it's safe, where I'm wanted. My dad's gone. I can't turn to him. His parents were passed away. I can't go to them. I can't go to my mom. Things weren't healthy there. There was alcoholism and violence, and it was just not great. So from 12 to 14, I was bouncing in and out of my mother's home, CPS was involved and police were involved investigating what was going on in the household. And my sister and I would be taken out of the house and then put back in and taken out and put back in. Well, during that journey, I knew I was gay. I would go to bed at night, 10, 11, 12 years old, and literally pray that I would wake up a different person. I would pray that this would go away. I would ask anybody and anything in my mind to please take this away from me. This is weird. This is not right. Everyone around me is telling me it's wrong. Well, when I decided to start speaking of all of this, I was then officially taken out of my mother's house. And starting at 14 is when I was truly never with my parents again, and bounced around from family to family and house to house and state to state and school to school. All that time, not having any sort of guidance, being pretty unsure of what to do with the fact that I'm gay, and how to handle that. So there was several things along the way that people used to try to change me. The sexual abuse that I mentioned, that was actually, instead of being frowned upon or law enforcement being involved, that was actually something encouraged by adults to change me. So they expected these boys, these men, to sexually abuse me, to convert me to straight. Pretty scarring, right? I went to a pastor in a Presbyterian church, mentioned this scenario happening. The Presbyterian then wanted me to go to counseling classes that would get me closer to God and understand that this is not real and I'm lying and I'm not true and this is not right and I'm not welcome in the church until I become true to God, if you will, that I'm actually straight. That wasn't happening. But so then you just try to move on and just pretend that you're something you're not. So in all of these families, that I lived with, it was hide who I am, lie about who I am. I would embrace relationships that weren't healthy just so that I would look normal. And I was so unhappy and so scared and so lonely and had nowhere to turn. And it was just a challenging journey because when you don't say you're gay, everyone around you is saying derogatory terms about it. Like, oh, those homos, they're going to hell. Or look at that faggot over there. And, oh, she's just a dyke. Look at that lesbo walking in the door. And there would all be all these terms. And so you're like, oh my gosh, like that's what they think. But yet this is who I am. I'm not choosing this. This is me. This is a foster kid, a gay woman that is like, where do I go? So when I found sport, it really gave me a place to put my hurt, my anger, my stress, my in a sense, identity. I was able to then become Tricia the athlete. And they would stop focusing on that I'm this weirdo that didn't live with her parents, that I'm this weirdo that doesn't like boys, that, they just didn't look at that anymore. So now I became this athlete and I just engulfed myself in it. And the coaches, they supported me and they cared about me and they loved me. We didn't talk about being gay. I was just an athlete. And that was still okay for me because I was still trying to figure out like how to recover from, move forward from, figure out life on my own. Even through all this, I will say like derogatory or bigoted approach to me that they didn't realize that they were doing. They didn't realize as walking by and making fun of, a gay person or calling me a name because I look gay. That's kind of been their MO my whole life, is that I look gay. So therefore they could treat me differently or ignore me or exclude me or not talk to me because I'm weird. So because I look a certain way, I was treated that way. And that's kind of how it went for so many years, that I looked different because I didn't have parents and I looked different because I don't look straight. So that is a lot of kind of how the journey went. And eventually, I get through college and my sport world is super, successful, and I'm a full ride to Arizona State and I'm an All-American and I qualify for the Olympic trials and I'm doing great things. But at some point that ended and it was, oh God, I'm Tricia again. I'm not Tricia the athlete. And there was this grieving period for a long time where I didn't know who I was, where I was, what I was doing. Like, what do I do with myself now? Now I really am just this foster kid that's gay, that doesn't have parents. And I'm not an athlete anymore. So I really struggled to get through that piece. And that is when my true journey started, with identifying that it's okay to be me. I've tried everything. Everyone else has tried everything. Sex abuse, counseling, religious counseling, baptisms in Southern Baptist worlds. Like, I mean, you name it, the religion's tried, but it never changed me. And I finally realized that this is me. So I asked people, I was 40 years old when I finally decided to say to somebody, if you want to set me up on a date, it needs to be not with a boy. And I said it. That was the first time I ever said it. And I said it to this, I called her my cousin, but just a person that was part of a family that I knew. And I just told her, I said, don't set me up anymore that way. And she's like, what? And the response was pretty good. So I said that. That's what I said. And that's how it kind of started. But it didn't really go very much further than that as far as dating. What it did was allow me to then actually go to counseling and talk about who I really am and how I can then express myself and not worry so much about the reaction. So my whole life, I tried to make everybody proud because my mom didn't want me. My dad didn't want me. I bounced from family to family, state to state. I just was so disposable. It was like, just shove her on to the next group, shove her on to the next family, shove her on to the next thing. We don't want to deal with her. We don't want to be a part of her. And I was so lonely. And I didn't really know how to say that I'm also this person that everyone said is wrong, is going to hell, is awful, is gross, is oogie, right? Or I got beat up one time for being gay. I was like, my goodness, like someone came up and just clocked me, and all these things were happening. So you're afraid to say who you really are because of that. You don't want those reactions. You don't want somebody to pick on you. Well, finally, after the year of like 40, 41 years old, I realized that I don't want those people in my life. And that hurts. And those things are hard. But what was actually more painful, honestly, was lying. All those years, lying to everybody, trying to be somebody I wasn't. That burden was so heavy. And I think that is why I struggled so badly when I wasn't an athlete, is that I had to just constantly know this is who I am and it's wrong. But it's not wrong. I am who I am. I am a child of God. I am a gay woman, and I'm so much more than a gay woman, but I am also that. And that's okay. And it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't want to like me because of that, or somebody wants to call me a derogatory term. I'm having this discussion today to give awareness to those people too, that once you say it, you can't take it back. And those relationships are fractured after that. If I have somebody close to me that I've known for 20 years that loves me and adores me and thinks I'm great, and then when they find out I'm gay, don't want to talk to me. Well, I had to let that go. Okay, then don't talk to me, because I feel better now that I have said, I am Tricia Melfy and I'm all those things you loved. And that hasn't changed, but I'm still gay too. But I'm still funny, dynamic, leader, mature, all those things, right? But they washed it all down the toilet as soon as they knew I was gay. People don't want to hire me because I'm gay. People want to fire you because you're gay. People don't want you in their families because you're gay. I've been asked to leave families when I was in a same-sex relationship, and the family's like, we don't want you around that. We don't want you around our daughter. Get out of my family, But I had to come to terms with the fact that I still felt better in my own skin, just owning it, saying it, being true to it. This is my truth. This is who I am. I love who I am. I was willing to be single for the rest of my life if nobody wanted to be here. I'm lucky enough to have this wonderful woman next to me that did decide to marry me. And we'll talk about her in our journey here in a second. But this is what I wanted to say to people at the end of my journey, was that the freedom you feel, the comfort you feel, the confidence you feel, the joy you feel when you're true to you. And rather than try to make everybody else happy and deny who you are and do things to please others, losing that was the best freedom I ever could have had. I'm not saying I enjoyed losing people in my life, but I did also get rid of negativity in my life. And I'm not lying anymore. And I am so happy and proud of where I've been and where I've come. And I went through some pretty big trials and tribulations. And I'm hoping that there's some people watching today or watching in the future, that if you too are going through these trials and tribulations, whether it's a non-traditional home life with like mine, foster or guardians or adoption, I'm here. I get it. And you can make it and you can do great things. I'm highly educated. I'm a successful athlete. I'm a successful coach. And I even think I'm a successful mentor. I really do. And I've touched positively the lives of thousands and thousands of young men and women. And there's some that don't like me, and that's okay. But most of them don't like me when I'm true to myself. And I'm true to not only holding myself accountable, but others accountable to doing the right thing, being the right person, treating people with inclusion and equality and fairness. And so I hope that I can touch both categories tonight. Those that say those horrible things to people, think before you speak, because you can't get it back. And those that are struggling, you'll get there. There is freedom in being true. So there's Tricia Melfy.
Yeah, and I guess my journey couldn't be more different than Tricia's and our upbringings. I grew up in a small town in North Dakota. I had a really loving, caring, supportive family around me. I had every opportunity laid out in front of me in the world to kind of take and run with, and successful in whatever club or sport I partook in high school, and just really found success easily through North Dakota. And so I just came from this very conservative community and culture that had their beliefs and values. And again, I say conservative in that not a lot of diversity, and didn't grow up with anything that was maybe too off the norm or the beaten path. And if it was spoken out loud by friends, family, community members that it was different. And it was spoken, again, like she had mentioned, that when you hear that that's wrong or they're weird, or like, how could they ever do that? Why would they ever be like that? And in different areas too. And I'm not just talking sexual orientation, but even race. Is North Dakota being a very non-diverse, that anything, again, that was different was spoken poorly about, or maybe had just a negative connotation, enough that you started to have these I guess ideas and ideologies because of your surroundings. And then I guess through my journey, I was being like a family, and I knew what college was supposed to do, and I was supposed to get married and have kids and have a husband and kind of go through that journey. And college, it just wasn't there. And I went on 100 first dates, and every time I wanted nothing to do with seeing another guy again, or again, there was never a second date. And it was kind of like, what's wrong with me? Or maybe I'm just not ready to settle, or why am I not finding the right person? And not being able to kind of feel comfort in that. So after college ended, I kind of knew I wanted to move outside of state, and I couldn't tell you maybe at the moment what it was, but it was just, hey, let's go on an adventure. Let's get out of state. Let's see something different. But I do think there was this, I need to see more. I need to kind of follow my gut on why I'm not comfortable here in this moment, and why I need to go see more. And same thing happened. I moved out of state. I went to Arizona. Same thing with going on dates with guys. And it continued to be like, why am I not figuring this out? And why am I not having that feeling that people talk about? And so then it kind of turned into, I met Tricia, and it was the first time I ever said, I want to see that person again. I want to continue to see Tricia. And it wasn't in just the friend way right away. And so kind of going through that process and having to identify that and know maybe what my beliefs were, or I shouldn't say beliefs, but what I grew up with, and knowing that it was going to be wrong, quote unquote wrong. So then I had that time with Tricia where I met Tricia and I knew I wanted to continue to see her. But I had to kind of have my own personal journey of identifying the why and what was drawing me to her. And it took a lot of like self-reflection and understanding and really being able to identify, and again coming back to just being true to my feelings and emotions and really identifying what I was feeling and knowing what that was. And there's times where I can look back through college and know that that feeling was possibly there a few times through college with another female, but I didn't identify it or allow myself to, or to truly go there in a sense, because it was quote unquote wrong, or wasn't, it was so frowned upon of what the community and culture of what I grew up with, that no way could I be in a sense. But it took, like I said, it was a journey in order to really truly follow my true emotions and feelings and be true to who I was, and identify that. And I think that was a big piece, is to be able to identify that and be able to truly live that life comfortably. And I knew once I got there personally that friends and family, it was going to be challenging to express that. And I had someone so wonderful in my life that I wanted to share with friends and family. Of course, that's what we want to share our significant others with, because we're so proud of who we are and who we are with them and who they are. So that was a challenge through. I knew there was going to be friends and family, especially in North Dakota, that it wasn't going to be easy conversations or accepting. And there's been there's friends that were really close high school friends or college friends that I haven't spoken with since, that just are no longer in my life because of their reactions or responses, or via, maybe they didn't find out directly from me, but there's never been any more conversation because of their knowledge of me knowing that I'm in a same-sex relationship. And then same with family. And, that was a very trying and challenging time, and that it was not easy conversation, and it was hearing some tough things initially, and me having to set some of my own, I guess, personal boundaries of if these are going to be the feelings and beliefs that are going to be out there, that I can't have that, I guess, moving forward in my life. And I can't worry about people's reactions, and I can't have the negativeness and that kind of umbrella of that this is how maybe someone feels moving forward, or kind of just moving forward to have a healthy, happy relationship. And I guess if people truly love you unconditionally, and you continue to live your true self, that I will tell you, they will come along for the journey eventually. And everybody has their own journey to work through, and their own, I guess, internal conflicts to work through, and just kind of keeping open communication in that as much as we can, and have the conversations that are hard. I'm not one to, if I hear that there's a negativeness, I'm not going to embrace a conversation. I'm not going to go seek it. I don't want to go find it. I'm quick to say, okay, you're out. Like you've shared how you feel, or you've done one thing to show me that that's not a negative, or a negative part that I'm going to have a part of my life. So it's been challenging for me too, that there are some close loved ones that I can be quick to want to shut the door on, and have to be open to those conversations of people's journeys of loving and supporting us. And I guess just through so other things she had mentioned, that possibly by a look that you could maybe identify, that someone could assume that maybe Tricia is a gay woman, and that's not maybe the case with me. So I have this I guess internal conflict, I call it all the time, is if I'm in a conversation with somebody and there's a fine time of identifying, am I going to be honest with this person? Do I feel like this is a safe space that I can share that I'm married to a woman? It might come out like, hey, what's your husband do? They might see a ring on my finger, and I have a split second to decide, is this person somebody that I want to share this with? Am I going to see them again? Am I at the grocery store? Is it worth it? Do I correct them? Do I just go on in conversation? And I hate to say, I've done both. I've let people in a conversation use the pronouns he and say husband. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling. But to me, it wasn't worth it. Or I felt that it wasn't a safe space to be able to say that. That I might have gotten a poor reaction. And instead of just being honest and true, that's what's hard, is I walk away with that conversation. I wasn't honest and I wasn't true to myself in that, or open, but it felt safer in the moment. So I think that's a conversation too that people aren't aware of, that we have the kind of that pronoun shift in a conversation, or somebody be like, oh, what's your husband do? And I was like, oh, well, she's the volleyball coach at ESU. And then you get that response. And right there, that's going to tell me a lot. Is this conversation going to continue? Or is it going to end pretty quickly? And so I'll do that pronoun shift through a conversation. And so it's this, I feel uncomfortable that I have to sit there and judge that and decide what I'm going to do. And I don't always do the same. I want to get to a point that I do the same every time, that I will be open and honest. And kind of through that, I guess, so that's just a little bit of our journeys are very different. The way that we maybe identified ourselves is different, I guess, and then the walk that we still walk together as a same-sex marriage, that our journeys are still different, although we're walking it together now.
Want to share this?
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're going to share couple more slides with you. Okay, so we already talked about some of this, but we just wanted to kind of address the things that we hear daily on the regular. This is why, again, this series that we're doing, we're hoping we can help change the dialogue, because even this alone can create some change. If you don't walk by someone that you assume is gay and call them a dyke, or tell them they're gross, or put it out there. I'm not telling people how to believe. That's not what my goal is here. My goal is not to hurt people along the way. So no, I always talk about filling buckets. Kelsey talks about filling buckets. I do it in my program. She's done it in her program. But saying mean things to anybody at any time, whether it's about your race, your culture, your financial stability or lack thereof, gay, straight, whatever, these don't work. And these words we popped up on the screen are literally words that I hear. Kelsey hears after they find out she's with someone, because again, people all assume it from me and make fun of me. People don't know it about her. And then once they know, then there's often a reaction. That hold it in, don't say those things. Say positive things, fill people's bucket, do kind things, because these poking holes in buckets just beat up young men and women, beat up people that are just really good folks that just happen to not be like maybe somebody else. And this is what diversity is all about: embracing, understanding, and loving, all of us, even though we're different. And so here's some of the words. I've been told that I'm going to hell. I've been accused of being manipulative, that I did this to Kelsey. In these conversations, and when they bring that to you, when somebody says these things to you, it's really hard to hear. So I'm hoping I give courage and strength to people that are going through something similar, that they're going to make it. They're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Stand up for who you are. And then what I call the meanies of the world, maybe think before you speak, because it's very damaging, very hurtful. So these were just some of the offensive words. All right. And then just quick, we'll tell you a little bit about our story and how we are normal.
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to, is just talk about that. We are the same as any other couple going through like having a marriage, having a relationship, the same like healthy, committed, compatible relationship. So I just want to normalize that it's not any different, that a same-sex relationship, that we would expect anything to be different than what a relationship brings. I think we're very compatible. We have a great time together. We've been together for 8 years. And we've really learned a lot about each other and through our journey. And we are so compatible in that, you know, we have our highs and our lows. And if Tricia's going through a tough time, I know how to hold strong, and I know what I need to do to support her. And she had some like medical and health issues in the last year, 2 years ago. And it's just, I mean, even that was a journey, but that's just part of, you know, being in a relationship, and knowing what I needed to do to be strong and take care of her and be there for her. And this last year we had a transition. We moved out here to Pennsylvania during a pandemic and changing jobs and careers. And I've had my own struggles and highs and lows, and Tricia so compatible, and she knows when I need a good laugh, when I need some humor in my life, to lighten the mood, or to kind of joke about something, or when she does need to be a good listener, and when I do need more, and she can be there for me. And so it's truly, it's just a normal relationship. I really want to reiterate that we are just like any other couple.
And we wanted to be able to inspire same-sex couples. We know several same-sex couples that don't tell anybody that they are, and I'm not going to tell them that they need to, but we just know they're wonderful. They're so wonderful, and they have so much to offer. And my student athletes and anybody else listening, they may not listen to me about relationship, because they might assume, this has been something part of my journey as well, is that because I'm gay, I don't actually understand relationship, but we really do. And that was one of the things we wanted to bring tonight, was normalizing it a little bit, that, you know, Kelsey leaves work and I'm the first person she calls, and we chat on the way to work or on the way home. We can spend 24/7 together. Like, she's literally the only person I've ever been around that I can spend 24/7 with and literally not get sick of it. We laugh together. We cry together. We never stop talking. Well, okay, I never stop talking. She's a little more quiet, but she never stops chatting with me. And I just want those to know, like, I'm here for others too, about relationship advice if need be, because I do get it. I've been in unhealthy ones and I've been in very healthy ones. And I would have never asked her to marry me had I not known that this was a forever. We are very compatible. It is healthy. It is loving. It is kind. It is supportive. It is true. It is fun. We have such a great time together, and that's what relationships should look like. Boy, boy, girl, girl, boy, girl. It doesn't matter. It should be happy and healthy and fun and never get boring, and we're never bored. So wanted to bring that piece, and then we just wanted to kind of wrap it up. She'll tell you.
Just kind of coming back to who is Tricia Melfy, and see, you know, we had the previous slide earlier, and we could identify by the label, or somebody might see that label first all the time, but in reality, this is who we are. We're just people. All right. Tricia is a coach and an educator. She's an athlete, All-American. She's got great education. Has a huge sense of humor. She is so goofy. She is on all the time. So sensitive. There's this total sensitive side behind that kind of humor and maybe tough exterior sometimes, but very sensitive, kind, caring, great listener. As for how much she talks, she is a really good listener. And she's just so passionate about what she does, what she chooses to do, passionate and competitive. And she is a survivor. You've heard her story, her journey. It is in depth and it's deep, and I'll never truly know all the details or what the journey really looked like. I've never walked in her shoes, but she is a survivor, and she's so strong and dynamic. That's who Tricia Melfy is, and not just a gay female.
And Kelsey, same thing. She is not just a gay female. She is so much more. She's an educator, a very good one. She's been a coach and will continue to coach, very good one. She inspires me all the time. She's a fitness enthusiast. She can, you know, she's yoga, she's hiking, she's Pilates. I mean, she's done it all. She's so big on fitness. She's educated. She, you know, teaches physical education and health. She's been a summer's camp coordinator. She's directed activities as a coordinator in another state that we lived. One of the more humble and kind people that I've ever known. Super organized, keeps me more organized. The compassion side of her, the caring side of her, priceless. Like I literally am in love with the compassion and caring kind, patient human that she is, very thoughtful, easygoing, loves to go on an adventure. And so we are all these things. And the last thing that we really want to, everyone always forgets about all of this. They just want to say that we're gay females. We're in a same-sex marriage, but we are so much more than that. So we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to our story. And obviously we'll embrace some conversation or some questions if you have.
Well, thank you, Kelsey and Tricia. We really appreciate it. Excuse me. And as Noah is kind of taking a look at a few questions he has there, I'll start it off. I have a couple, and I'll just ask one, and then we can go to a couple that Noah has. And if we have time left, we can come back to one or two more, perhaps, that I jotted down as you were going through. So you both have been active and been involved in sport and recreation, athletics, participant, coaching, a wide variety of what we'll just call the sport realm. So within college athletics, and you can define sport more broadly than that if you wish, it doesn't matter. Have you seen the level of acceptance and inclusion to gay, I'll say gay females, or just generally to individuals who are gay? Have you seen that change in the past 20, 25 years? Has it gotten better? Is it about the same? Has it gotten worse? I mean, I'm hoping that we're making progress and stuff, but I mean, from your two experiences, have you seen any change in the landscape of level of acceptance and being genuinely included?
Yes, that is a really good question, by the way. And I'm going to use my last college experience and this college experience to tell you. So that's over the last 4 years. The first group of athletes to ever at any level asked me, they said, "Who is Kelsey?" It was the first time anyone's ever asked me about a relationship in my entire life. And this was 4 years ago. And what I found in that question, and I cried answering I literally was like, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, she's my fiance. And I was terrified, but oh my word. So I'm crying and I'm scared and I'm stressed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? These young women were amazingly kind. So, they embrace, I mean, they love Kelsey probably more than me, but they were so kind and caring. And that's what I'm seeing over the last 4 years is that generation, the young men and women that we work with, the student athlete, very accepting, very different from 10 years ago, where that age group was actually a little bit scared of people like me. So that change is definitely very prevalent. This team here also asked me, I was like, good for you to ask. And I didn't cry as much this time because it was my second time answering honestly. So yes, there's a change there. What I will say, ESU is different, but other than ESU, I'm not seeing a change in the treatment of I'm going to say gay women, and I'm just a woman right now, so I can only talk about that. But the administrative side, so that bracket of generation and person looks pretty similar to me until I got to ESU. ESU completely embraced me at all levels, is doing a great job with inclusion and diversity. I do think we are truly thinking about ways to be better there. It is very, very prevalent here at ESU. But to be honest with you, I don't think that's the norm. I do still think a gay female is going to struggle. Females for sure, I believe, but that's a different topic. But being a gay female, I have still felt in my employment from faculty and staff, I have felt discrimination. As a matter of fact, I was literally hazed, and there was stuff put all over like a car and an office window, and it wrote dyke and loser and you're gross. And that was just like 5 years ago. So I'm not totally sure where that came from, but in the setting we're talking about, I feel like the student athletes are becoming much better, and ESU specifically is doing a great job in creating these dialogues. Sorry, long.
Kelsey, have you noticed any improvement in the landscape, or?
It's just very similar in that like the younger generation, anybody who's younger than me or similar aged. Again, I talk about that moment of I'm in a conversation with somebody and I have to decide if I'm going to share. Yeah, and so finding that too, that anybody that's younger than me, and it's almost they laugh and I almost get an apology sometimes. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You almost felt uncomfortable not to share, or
Oh,
don't
Hmm.
you don't have to put that out there. It's okay."
Hmm.
So that's really nice to hear and comforting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Noah, you want to put a few out there?
Well, I'll say that question that you asked, Dr. Gray, kind of rolls right into our first question here, which is for both of you, living in different regions of the United States, and obviously coming from Arizona to here now, and the difference between our culture and Arizona's culture a little bit. How much does the local culture impact your daily life, with certain LGBTQ communities being more accepted in local culture than others?
Yeah, it's different regions, it's different parts of different states. It does matter pretty quickly. Obviously, North Dakota being very conservative, you kind of, I guess, change how open you are about it, or allowing somebody to know, or allowing somebody in. When we were in Arizona, we weren't very open. We didn't always feel like we were in a community that would truly embrace us. I think job wise, we were nervous, both as teachers and educators, that if parents, families found out like what those conversations would be like. And in fact, in the school district that I worked at in Arizona, there was a gay female teacher at an elementary school that a lot of the parents kind of had an uproar. And once they found out, once that was public knowledge, they asked their students to be removed from that particular elementary classroom. Granted, I was working in a high school, but when that happens in my district, we're not going to say boo. We're not going to even let anybody indicate or know anything. And then North Dakota at Colorado, we were in a kind of mountain resort town, and that was the first place that we were truly open. We started to tell people, and smaller community, I don't want to say word got out, but people knew. Just like when another husband and wife move into town, they're a couple, and that town knew we were a couple, and we never, I can't speak for you, but we've never had an issue there. And then,
yeah, so I always, these are the two things I bring up are, I love the Midwest, but the Midwest doesn't love me. So that's the region there that I'm not welcome there, right? I want to go to Tennessee, not so welcome. Pennsylvania, we just went for it. So where we live, our neighbors are very, very like nosy, and that's okay. But we just didn't lie. And we're like, dear God, don't hurt us, please. And so there's always that fear when someone goes, what's your story? And you're like, and so we owned it. I'm like, this is my wife. And our neighborhood has been amazing. ESU, amazing. Literally, like, so I would say that although I see the conservativeness around here in PA and in our community, and there's signs that maybe pick and choose a little bit, but not quite like maybe Arizona or the Midwest or even like the Tennessee area, where I have been at times where I know, shut your mouth, Tricia. Out here, doesn't feel like that. Doesn't feel like I have to shut my mouth.
Fantastic. I mean, that's definitely, you can see that across the country and the world as you watch the news and stuff like that, whether it be other DEI issues that we're dealing with right now. And yeah, it's definitely along with the LGBTQ community as well. So as you look at that, then, is athletics and higher education kind of a more accepting community, as we talk about community, than the general public? We see that more with younger student athletes you were talking about too, or younger generation. Do you find that the athletics or higher education community is more accepting?
Yeah, people always ask me, like they think I don't know what I'm doing because I started out of high school, but I always wanted to get to here. But anyway, my point of that is there was never going to be a time at the high school level that I would have said this. It never would have happened. I would have never done it. In higher education, for two reasons. First, I believe it's way more accepting. I really do. And I feel like it's so much more diverse in general at a university, from the faculty, administration, staff. Like if you look across, we are from everywhere, from every walk of life. It's incredible. It's exciting. I love to be a part of it. So absolutely, higher education is a completely different vibe, and it's a much healthier, inclusive vibe. I'm not saying we don't have work to do, because we do, but this is a place where we can do work. In my opinion, we can do work here. These conversations, this awareness, this education of all this can go somewhere at this level. And we have great young student athletes that are going to be their little journeys are going to go a long way, that they get to see and hear and learn from all of us from all different walks of life. Higher education is a great place. And sport, I already mentioned it in my story, saves people's lives.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up. One of the other questions we have is, you brought up looked different, and I'll use that wording as, and whether it's you or Kelsey or you brought it up in your talks about how you grew up looking different. Our student athletes don't necessarily look different, but we have plenty that, are from different walks of life. And we talk about DEI, black, white, and then you don't necessarily look different to be in a part of the community. So how do you find that is effective, or how do you see people looking different?
Yeah. So because a lot of us don't look different, I thought it was important for me, and then you can share too. I decided that telling my story was the only way to allow people that you might not even know that there's something in their story or in their world, or that or who they are. I've had students come to me and be like, I am so glad I'm not the only gay person. When they just tell it to me. I just had a recruit tell me I was unbelievable. Like, I'm not, anyway. So I'm just saying that I think that if we don't doing this story right now, it's the first time we've ever talked about this. I've always, over the last 15 years, talked about the other part of my story, because I think that gives them the courage and the strength to let us know that although we look the same, they might have something that they want to talk about, and then eventually we can maybe somehow help them with our own communication, maybe with some counseling or wherever they want us to direct them with the resources that we have to help them really truly start to identify who they are and get through a time of going from hiding it to being it, whatever it is. So I hope that sometimes my story, although I look like most of every other person, that those that don't look like me, or those that also have a story, maybe have the courage to talk about it, and I can help them be the true them.
So I think we got time for one more question here, and then Dr. Gray, your wrap up. How, both of you now being in the NCAA community for so long, how do you see the NCAA or college athletics, let's broaden that a little bit, kind of improving initiatives for members of the LGBTQ plus community?
Well, here's a great example. We're doing this at ESU, but I actually have a friend that works at the NCAA, and I get to hear a lot about what goes on behind the scenes there. And I don't feel like a lot of their decisions are happening without this discussion. I literally think it's now part of the discussion. It's not just, Title IX and financial equality. It is now embracing and finding ways to allow people from LGBTQ plus communities, Black communities, Asian communities, and then religious one, Muslim. You look at they're about what you can wear, the uniforms. There were regulations on uniforms, but the NCAA is now lightening that kind of thing to allow for, you do it to express yourself the way you want to. You don't have to mold into this box. So when I'm hearing about the NCAA, what I'm experiencing here at ESU is that LGBTQ plus is literally part of the discussions that then translate into decisions for the better of the student athletes and their experience and their success and their opportunities. So, we can do more here. I'm sure NCAA can do more, but it's happening. This conversation is happening now at the NCAA level.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
So Kelsey and Tricia, thank you very much for sharing your stories and your comments with us tonight here on this important topic in this speaker series. We sincerely appreciate it, believe me. And thank you for answering those questions, those thoughtful questions, addressing the comments we received from tonight's webinar viewers. Noah, thank you also, as always, for moderating and producing this program from the tech side. And finally, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight to be part of this ESU speaker series, or if you're watching it as part of our athletics archives. We invite you to submit your ideas related to the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion you would like to see addressed with our remaining 7 speakers between now and next February, and we invite you to even suggest names of potential future speakers you think would do a really nice job addressing any diversity, equity, inclusion topic. Certainly, we hope to see you all again next month. We plan to announce our speaker and the date for August here very shortly. So once again, thank you very, very much, and good night.